What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Death Stranding 2's length. See if we can figure it out. I'm sure we probably, most likely, will hear about the length come reviews, which is on Monday, so we're not too far away, but wanted to throw out just my speculation and, look at the previews, the amount of time they got there, look at the past games, and see if we could find kind of like a happy balance. Now look, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to trust Hideo Kojima, right? If the game is X hours long, it's supposed to be X hours long, okay? I'm not making this to say, well, it needs to be this or I'm not playing it. No, I'm going to play it regardless. So, okay, let's look at what we know, right? We know the average, based off some people, I guess, on how long to beat for Death Stranding and also the director's cut. Now, what's funny about this, I didn't realize until just now looking at it, is Death Stranding's director's cut actually is a shorter time than Death Stranding, like, just normal. Now, the longer I go on how long to beat, the less I trust it. My time tends to be lower almost every time versus the time on how long to beat. So I'm starting to distrust it a little bit. But, it's an average of whoever wants to provide their data for that website. Okay, so granted, it is people, right? So you look at Death Stranding, and it's got 40 and a half hours for main story, 60 for main and sides, and then you got that completionist. Now, I'm not 100% sure what the main and sides even means, because like if you're going to do the main and side, like the side stuff, isn't that going for the completionist? I guess it's maybe just finding all of the locations and then not doing the deliveries for them, but you just find them, right? But I don't really know how you kind of like max out the side stuff in this game without 100%ing it. That's another thing I just don't really get about the breakdown anyway. But okay, so you see those numbers. Now you go to the director's cut, and it actually drops, right? So main story 40 and a half, now it's 38, now it's 59 versus 60, and now it's 112 versus 113. So, not a huge drop. Somehow the story dropped by an hour and a half, but the other two dropped by 1 hour. Again, it's just people, right? It's people that put in their stuff. So, okay, that's what we've seen from the last game. But what we know from Death Stranding 2 from the previews is they were able to play 30 hours of the game, which is about 40%. That's like the data that we got from that, okay? 30 hours, it was 40% of the game, roughly. Now, what a lot of people are saying is that, okay, well, you do the math, and you're looking at, it's not even 60, but you're looking at 60 plus, and that's just seemingly for, like, if you're kind of cruising. It would probably, for how long to beat, fall into that main story category. I don't really think it would fall into the main and sides. Now, I've been talking to a friend of mine about this, and I'm actually going to press X to doubt here. Like, I don't know what they were able to play because I wasn't there, okay? But to play 30 hours and to not even get halfway through the game, I get, okay, is it possible that this game is quite literally almost double the length of the first game? It's possible. I just, me personally, I just don't really see it. I don't think there'll be, say, double the story. You think about the first Death Stranding, right? Think about chapter, I think it was 14. One of the last chapters when Amelie is talking to you on the beach and she's just exposition dumping you. Now, I love it. Love the lore. Love hearing it all. It's 58 minutes of just, you can move around on the beach, but it's pretty much a cutscene, okay? Kojima got away with that. But it's 58 minutes, and at least I timed myself, and that's what I experienced. So, you want to go more than that? You want to go 2 hours for a mission of explaining everything? I don't know. This is where bigger does not always equal better in my head. Now, that's not to say, again, I'm not going to give it a chance. It's not to say he can't pull it off. It's just to say, based off of the first game and based off of I guess just games in general, does doubling your length does that mean that it's double the fun? You know what I mean? Especially, by the way, for a game, we've talked about it so much, that's so specific, right? You really got to be in the right headspace. Delivering things is not for everybody, okay? So can you do it, not just how much you did it in Death Stranding 1, but can you do it double as much? And that's just where, and I guess what I'm calling out, I'm not really calling out Kojima, I'm calling out, I want to know specifically, but without spoilers, what they played, literally what they played at those previews, because were they just running through story mission after story mission after story mission, or, in my opinion, were they probably, and I think the answer is yes, were they running through some side stuff mixed with the main stuff? Because I don't know. I don't see how you go through 30 hours and you're primarily just tackling the main story. I guess here's the part where I say, if there's 60 hours of just like pure story content, I kind of do get excited about that to a degree. I don't know if I need it, but at the same time, like, hey, if they're going to deliver, I just think, okay, here's where I really want to level with you, right? Think about some of the longest games you've ever played in your life, or some of the longest games that are out there. Now, I think the longest single-player game I've ever played was Persona 5, and then, of course, Royal added like 20-plus hours of, I'd say, primarily, story content, okay? But I clocked in at 95 for Persona 5. But you think even about a game like that, right? Number one, it is not this motion capture, extravagant thing. And that that adds so much time, that adds so much cost. Secondly, a lot of Persona 5 is going through battles and the motions and leveling up. And yeah, there is a lot of conversations. There are some amazing cutscenes and stuff like that. But how much of that game is pure, just like the main content? It's not 95, okay? And I think about that for all of these games. Like Witcher 3 has a good amount of story stuff, right? You play 60, 70, 80, 90 hours of Witcher, you are probably getting 25, 35-ish hours of just like pure story content, which is incredible. But I feel like most games, Red Dead 2, like I'm trying to think of some of the bigger, bulkier, and also very solid, by the way. They can maintain that length while also keeping the quality, right? But like even those games, the story doesn't push to like 60, 70, 80 hours. You're not getting that much story. So I don't know. It's really just a question of like, did they play a lot of side stuff in the previews and they just said it's 40% of the base game? Because I don't really know how that makes sense to say it anyway. This is why I'm excited, if nothing else, because, if it gets an 84 on Metacritic versus an 85, am I going to cancel my purchase? No. But I do want to know, like, just times, right? Like, that's one of the main things I'm going to be looking at on Monday is how long did it take people to beat it? And I want a breakdown. I want to see how long is the story, and then how long, did somebody platinum it? Because yeah, the platinum takes forever, right? You could look around. People have platinumed it. It's a journey, it's an adventure, but it takes a long time. That completionist run is kind of like that platinum thing, right? So, that can take you 100+ hours. But I don't know. I wonder, is the second game gonna be, you double it. If you double the first game, you're looking at like an 80-hour story. I don't see that happening. So I'm gonna probably imagine, if you want like my quick predictions, if we look at just the how long to beat, right? Main story, main inside, completionist. Main story, I guess I don't even believe that. I don't think the main story in Death Stranding is 40.5 hours. I think that's over. So I'll say maybe like 45 or 50. Main inside, that's where I could see it going up, right? But again, I don't really even know what that means half the time for this website. So maybe like 70, maybe like 40 to 50 main story, 70 for main inside, which again, I'd kind of have a problem of like what you consider main and main inside. And then completionist, that'll probably be the same. I got to be honest. I don't know if the completionist will be like 150 plus. I feel like that'll stay in like the low 100 range. So that's my prediction. Again, like I'm going to play it regardless if it's 40 hours or 41 hours. Like that's not a deal breaker. I'm just saying that for like the two fools that are going to leave that in the comments. But there is a balance though. And I don't think being longer immediately means it's better. I will give him the benefit of the doubt because it's Hideo Kojima, but I don't know if it needs to double the length of the first game. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.